This is the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads, author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Make More Money Selling Your Art, Proven Techniques to Turn Your Passion into Profit.
Our goal is to help you learn to sell your paintings in one form or another. And if you learn marketing, you embrace it, it will help you. We have questions that you send in. Sometimes we record them if we get a chance. You can send them to eric@artmarketing.com. And we have a great website you can look at too, artmarketing.com, which is a terrific place for lots of stories on how to market your art. Okay, what's our first question, Amandine?
The first question is from Joanna Pierman from Glenwood Springs, Colorado. My goal is to be the premier local landscape artist in my Colorado ski town in 5 years. But my art isn't ready yet. How would you work smarter to improve your art if you knew your art wasn't ready? I also want to use this time to plan, save, and understand marketing so that I'll be ready when the time is right. What should I be doing? Lastly, would selling underbaked art be a bad idea?
All right. Well, Joanne, thank you. I love the fact that you have goals. And I think it's important to have goals, but it's potentially a big audacious goal, and I think it's good to have big audacious goals. But if you are not selling your art today and you think that 5 years from today you're going to be the best artist in your town, you better hope the best artist in your town is someone you can easily overcome, right? I mean, there are painters out there who have been painting for 40 or 50 years who are brilliant, and brush time does matter. Experience does matter. And we want everybody, I want to encourage you, we want everybody to dig in, to study, to learn, and to practice. There's a lot of issues here. So I'm going to touch on some of these things. But uh, first off, you got to do the best thing you can to make yourself as good as you can. And I don't know what that is for you because I don't know where you are. But what I like to do, I I don't just ask anybody because my mother would tell me how good my paintings were even when they weren't. And it's like, no, I need to know what I'm doing wrong. And so you need to get your paintings in front of somebody who will tell you the truth, and you've got to give them permission to tell you the truth. And the only way I do that is I say, look, I don't want to hear anything good about it. I just want to hear what's wrong with it. Tell me how to fix it. Tell me what I need to be working on. Because, when I go and study with somebody, oftentimes they'll say, bring a couple of your paintings or some slides of your work or something, some, pictures in your phone, because they can instantly see where your weaknesses lie. And, might be composition, might be values, might be brushwork, might be who knows what. So you need somebody to give you some feedback. So you need a couple of trusted people to give you feedback. And I include in that somebody who would be a gallery owner or two, not to get into their gallery, just be upfront. Say, look, maybe I'd like to be in here in the future, but right now I just need to know what I need to work on from their perspective. No, their gallery owners aren't painters, but they can see things because they're around art all the time. Um, I think that the most important thing for you to do after that is to say, okay, well, what's my target look like? If your goal really is to be the top painter in your small ski town in 5 years, where is the bar and what do I have to beat? And who's going to be judging that? How are you going to know when you've accomplished it? And so, I think studying, I don't really think in terms of competition in painters because, I don't look at my goal isn't to try to beat another painter out. And it's, or to be, I just want to be the best I can be. And, I think what you're really saying is I want to make a living equal to or better than the best painter in my town. And that's a handsome goal. So you need to kind of get the details, if that's your goal, why is it your goal? Why is it important to you? And then what are the specifics to that goal? What do I have to do to match it? What kind of sales do I have to do, yearly, monthly, weekly? Uh, and is that really the right goal? I mean, it might be, but you've got to figure that out. Now, if you are not ready, and that you're on the right track. I mean, sometimes I painted for a lot of years, and I still struggle, and I know I'm not as far along as I could be if I could find the time. And, if you can put in 8, 10 hours a day just painting, it's gonna, I've watched Richard Lindenberg, who went from a full-time job to a full-time painter. 2 years later, by painting 8 hours a day, he was phenomenal. And he just continues to get better and better, and is he at a level of some of his mentors? He's pushing on it, but he's not there yet. But most of us aren't. Most of us, will never get to those levels because those mentors are always pushing themselves and getting better and better. So, don't compare yourself to other people. I think that's the biggest way to get frustrated. If you're not selling and you want to be selling, I will tell you this. There's no second chance to make a first impression. And if somebody perceives you as a bad painter, they're going to hold on to that for a long time. And so before you start putting your work out there, make sure that you're comfortable with it. Make sure others who you trust are comfortable with it, because nobody expects you to be John Singer Sargent or Anders Zorn, but they do expect you to have a certain level of quality. Now, different galleries have different levels of quality, different buyers have different perceptions of quality. So, you can kind of ease your way in, get used to it, get known by some people, develop an audience, and, just continue forward as you grow. But just be ready. That's the best advice for you. In terms of marketing, marketing takes planning, it takes strategy. I think, really, if I were to bring it down to a nutshell, number one, be the best painter you can be. Number two, be the kind of person that people want to help. Some people come in and say, I deserve to be in this art gallery. Well, look at you. And this is not nice. People want to help nice people. So work on that if you're not, because you need people to help you out along the way. I wouldn't be where I am, and others wouldn't be where they are without the people there helping them. You need people. So start working on relationships. If you target a gallery in 5 years, uh, start getting to know them, help them out, hang out with them, but don't ask for anything. Just help. I think that matters. And then what's number three? Ultimately, it's about visibility. Visibility gives you a critical advantage. Be everywhere, network, get involved. When the time comes, advertise like crazy and never let up. Once you decide to be a professional painter, advertising is a cost of doing business for the rest of your life. You have to admit that. And but advertising is almost like cheating. You can't cheat painting because you got to learn it, but you can cheat advertising. I don't mean be dishonest. I mean, the fact is that you can, if you do it right, you have really great creative and you have really great buying, and you spend the right amount of money to hit the right audiences. We do very targeted audiences at my magazines, with rich art collectors, for instance, at Fine Art Connoisseur. So the idea is you gain every advantage from visibility. So you got to enter every show. You got to win as many shows as you can. Even if you win as a finalist in something, you got something to talk about on your website. You got something to talk about to other people. All of that builds up into becoming your brand and who you are. Getting into the right shows is a big booster. Some of the shows that one big artist told me he applied 9 years in a row to get into a major show, and he didn't think he'd ever get in. And boom, one time he was in, and now he's in forever. Winning top awards is going to build visibility. You just got to do a lot of different things. Don't focus on tactics, focus on strategy. Learn where you want to be, learn what you need to do to get there, and then figure out what the steps are. Next question.
The next question is from Jody Epp from Canada. When a person says, I can't afford that, when they have expressed interest in a piece, what they are really saying is, I disagree with the value given to it with dollars. How do you make a person understand what those dollars are really paying for in original art?
Well, Jody, I think that people say a lot of things when they're trying to get out of a purchase. And you may be assuming that they're saying, I disagree with the value given to it in dollars, right? They may not be saying that at all. They might be saying, I just want to get out of here, or I got lunch in 5 minutes. I got to get out of here. You never know. People tell you things to get out of purchases. There are little white lies we all tell, like when you're shopping and a salesperson approaches you, can I help you? You say, what? I'm just looking, right? little white lies. And it's just because you don't want to be bugged. You're going to find what you want. And sometimes you're going to ask, sometimes you're not. People have excuses they use, including the excuse if I can't afford it. And that's a pretty hard one to overcome, because if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. So that doesn't mean they don't value your work. It means that they can't afford it, or they're lying to you. So you can't necessarily change people's minds. Now, selling begins with the word no, or I'm not interested, because if you push a little further, you might help somebody break through. You can't change their mind, but they can change their mind. So if you ask questions that help them change their mind, that can help. I like to understand, do they really want it? And can they truly not afford it, or can they afford it? And so how do you get there? You ask questions. I don't ever want anybody to feel pressured, but you can lead them to a solution that works for them sometimes. I can't afford it might mean I'm looking for a better price, or it might mean I'm just not fully committed yet, or it might mean I need a creative solution like a payment plan or something. So I might say, Mrs. Jones, I hear that a lot. Some people say they can't afford it because they're really looking for a better price. Others say it because they really just don't want to say no and don't want to hurt my feelings. But either is okay, because after all, not everybody's a buyer, and I have thick skin. So which are you? Are you really looking for a better price? You really can't afford it, or is this just not for you? That sometimes flushes it out. Pause and listen. If they say it's not for them, thank them for being honest. Tell them that you hope they have a great day and that you hope they'll find something eventually. And by the way, if you send me your email, I'll put you on my newsletter. And that way, if you see something you like, eventually maybe you'll come back in and get something, just very low key. Only 20% of the people are ever ready to buy at that moment. It's that continual exposure and contact that brings them back in eventually. Sometimes that takes years, sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes it takes days. And you can give them a postcard or calendar or something to remember you by if you want to. If they say, I truly can't afford it, then you could say something like this: I understand that. That's not unusual. I find that sometimes I have to work with people, and I do it when I can. Sometimes people just need to put it on their credit card and make payments. That's planting that idea. Sometimes they make payments to me. Sometimes they pick it up once it's paid off, whatever works for you. I'm pretty flexible. If that route doesn't work for you, then simply ask, well, what can we do together to make sure we can hang this in your home tonight? Ask them, where do you think you're going to hang it? Get them envisioning that a little bit, and listen, don't talk. And then they might, and let them make an offer. And, if you're far, far apart, you can say, well, that doesn't work for me, but this works for me. And understand that whatever you say, they're going to come back with half of that. So, I really can't make that price concession. Now, anytime you do give a price concession, always give an answer, a reason. Because if you just give a price concession, it feels a little dirty sometimes. But if you say like, well, my accountant has told me I can never discount prices, but once in a while, I really see somebody that I know they really want it, and I just want to help them out a little bit. So he has given me, or she's given me, leeway. I can do it 3 times a year, but I can only do it 3 times a year. And I haven't done it this year. I haven't had to, but I'd be willing to do a little bit of a concession if that'll help you. And then, maybe pay me in return in the future by buying something else, or, whatever. So sometimes little things like that. If the number's too low, say, here's what I can live with. And sometimes you just have to say, I can't take that. I apologize, and walk away. And you know what? I've walked away from deals, thought about them, come back and bought things. Sometimes I've thought about them for weeks and come back and bought things. You just never know. So I think it's a good idea to just get some practice. Now, some of us just are not good at that. We're uncomfortable with it. So a really good way to do it is, if you have a friend, like, have them work at your booth at an art show, and and you work their booth, so that you're talking about them. That way, I can't give you a discount because the artist isn't here, but here's what I can do. Here's what I'm allowed to do. They've allotted me 10% or something like that. Anyway, I hope that works for you. That's the Art Marketing Minute.
This has been the Marketing Minute with Eric Rhoads. You can learn more at artmarketing.com.